Now, you heard me mention margin, and when people hear margin, some of them think of the term margin call. They get scared. Let's just look at the definition of margin. The specific amount that you are required to put aside to hold a position is referred to as your margin requirement. Margin can be thought of as a good faith deposit required to maintain open positions with a broker. This is not a fee or a transaction cost. It's simply a portion of your account or account equity, in other words, the money you have in your account, set aside and allocated as a margin deposit. Why do brokers need this? Well, they actually have very clever little calculations which tell them that if they're going to lend you a lot of money, then one of the things that could happen is, just like with houses, you get negative equity. What if you suffer a big loss? They need a bit of a down payment to cover that loss. How do they work out how much loss you might suffer? Well, that's the margin. They say to themselves, you know what? If we give this guy $100,000 to trade with, and he's only given us $1,000, can he lose $1,000 in a day? No, because the prices tend not to move that much. So they'll say the margin we require is maybe $50. They'll work out a figure, $500. They'll work out a figure where their risks are covered. You don't have to worry about that. Now, if you start suffering losses, you might get a margin call. A margin call is where they start saying to you, you know what, you've now got a loss on paper, because you've not exited, of, and a bit like, as I say, in a house, negative equity, you've got a loss now of $2,000. So we need more money as safety deposit, because when you exit this position, we don't want to be facing that loss. We don't want to chase you for credit. We don't want to chase you for money. So what they do as a result is have this safety deposit amount. How much do they have? How much do they require? Well, it varies from broker to broker, but it tends to be relatively small amounts. They automatically calculate it. They put it to one side. You don't have to wire it anywhere. It just sits in your account. It just means it's money which is sitting there, which is with the broker as a safe deposit. And the sums tend to be quite small. So beyond that, you don't need to worry about it. However, how do you dodge those margin calls? Well, first of all, one way in which to do it is to make sure you've got ample money in your account, because then they don't need to keep asking you for more. The second thing, in a way, what I'm saying when I say ample money in your account, what I'm actually saying is make sure that you don't end up having big losses. And our trading strategies are geared towards ensuring we cut our losses quickly so we don't face margin calls. The most important thing that any smart, practical trader knows is they don't worry too much about margin for the simple reason they know the broker's going to work it out, and they know they can see it on screen, and we'll go through a screen later on. Whereas people who are too academic about foreign exchange trading, they're trying to work out to the nth degree what is margin, why is it, how much is it, and all the rest of it. Whereas those of us who are actual traders, we say, okay, I know there's going to be some deposit that I'm going to have to make, maybe 1/100th. So if it's $100,000 and the leverage is 100 to 1, maybe the margin will be $1,000. And if the position moves against me, I might have to put up more margin, but it'll be sitting in my account, and it's not a transaction fee. It's my own money. It's just set it to one side. On that basis, most practical traders don't worry about margin too much. What they worry about is making sure those losses are kept small. And that's where the trading strategies come in, and I'll explain that as we go on. Why do they want those losses to be small? Not just because it's a loss of their own money, but it's one hell of a hassle having to keep on putting more deposit with a broker. When we do a demo trade and we open a demo account, you'll see very quickly how all of this makes sense because you'll see practical examples. So don't worry too much about it for the moment.